Hey, what's up guys? This is Anthony from Anthony's Customs, and for this video we are looking at the Play Arts Kai DC variant Joker. Now I've been waiting for this Joker and this Harley Quinn for a very long time, basically ever since I saw them. I was pretty excited about them. You know, every time you see one of the black and white or grayscale prototypes or test shots from Square Enix, from the Play Arts Kai line at one of the conventions or something, they look so cool. And most times they come out looking even better once they're painted, and they're awesome. Every once in a while we get one that's not quite as good as we were hoping it would be. These two figures, I have to say, they are as good as we wanted them to be. I'm super psyched to have these, and I can't wait to show you guys all of the awesomeness herein. I really just took this guy out of the package though. I just fiddled with him a little bit to pose him around, make sure all the joints were good so I can go through the review. But otherwise, I'm going to be kind of looking at this in detail for the first time as we go through the review. So let's go ahead and take a look. Right now I have him kind of bent over in a little bit more of a dynamic pose. So let's straighten him up so I can give you a height measurement. And I'll pull Harley Quinn aside, or over here I mean, so that we can do a quick size comparison just between the two. And then I'll have some photos at the end for you guys to look at also with both of them. But I'm not going to grab Batman or anybody else because I'm going to do a Play Arts Kai DC variant collection video as soon as I get the armored Batman, since he's the last one of the proper DC variant line. The other Batman, that crazy looking Batman Beyond kind of one, and Catwoman, those are kind of separate. So I'm going to do a collection video once I get the armored Batman. Anyway, he's about 10¼ inches tall, so that's pretty good. I'm alright with that. And here's Harley Quinn, a little bit shorter, so definitely good enough for scale for me. As far as accessories go, this guy comes with the standard Play Arts Kai display stage that you put together. It's on the card inside the packaging, so you can do that if you want to. I don't tend to use them, so I leave them put together, or leave them on the card. I don't put them together. He will stand, by the way, really well. I didn't even try to balance him. He just happened to be pretty close to balanced, so that's why he tipped over. He just wasn't perfectly balanced. But he's got really nice big feet, even though they don't look out of place, so that's awesome. He'll stand no problem. As far as other accessories go, we have the two kind of relaxed hands. We have a hand holding his 3 razor blades, which looks really cool. I like that accessory. You can see some tabs holding the razor blades together in there, but I don't mind. It's not too noticeable, and they still look really good. It's a really cool looking accessory. He has a hand like this for holding a single razor blade, which is the last accessory. This one. So that looks pretty cool. Now you're probably thinking he's a little bit light in the accessory department, and compared to some of the other figures, he probably is. He's not the bulkiest of figures, and he doesn't have a huge spread of accessories. But I think that's probably because the cost that they saved on that feature of this guy, or those features, is probably going towards the armored Batman, which is going to be one big son of a gun. So I would imagine that's where the cost is being made up. So no worries, I'm fine with that. Plus, this guy has a pretty nice paint job. I see now that we're looking up close, he's got some smudges going on his torso, but I imagine that's not going to be a uniform quality control issue. It's probably just a little bit of a fluke, so I wouldn't worry about that too much. Otherwise, the paint's really good. This matte blackish gray collar really sets the figure off. Lots of the figure is meant to look like leather, and that's not really anyway. It's more of a flat color, and it just really is a nice contrast. And this is more of a flat green also, dark green to light green shading, so that's cool. And then we do have all of the stitch work painted and buttons and things going on. His gold chain, all of the green mixed throughout. The little silver studs on the collars on the wrist, whatever those are going to be, cufflinks I guess, type of thing, so that's cool. All the pink lining in his suit, that's all painted, so that looks good. There's a whole bunch of different shades of purple going on intentionally, so that's nice. You can see here we have the darker purple up here, and then down the middle, the lighter purple with the shading and the pinstripes with the pink. And then we have that darker purple for the boots also, which have a lot of detail. You can see those silver straps, or the gray straps and the silver buttons, and then the red soles, the red inside the jacket. Just lots of really nice color variation. I like the white and gray skin tones that they did on the face. They painted the black lines on the face really well. That looks nice. The mouth is painted well. Not 100% perfect, but definitely well enough. And his eyes are done well also. You can see they're kind of up in the top of his head, so you can put him in a sinister looking pose. and it will be just dandy. And then his hair is a really nice dark to light green shading. Looks really cool. At first I was thinking the face is a little bit too narrow, a little bit too weaselly, even for the more anime look that they went for this guy, but it's definitely grown on me. Would I necessarily have gone quite as pointy looking? Maybe not personally, but it's definitely not a bad thing, and I'm okay with it. As soon as I got this guy out of the package, everything that I was kind of iffy about started growing on me. And I don't know, if you guys don't watch anime, you maybe won't appreciate this look so much, but he's got a very anime, Japan-inspired Japanese styling. It looks awesome, and I think it fits perfectly in the DC variant line. And then one other thing I wanted to point out. What happened? Where'd it go? I was thinking about it, and then I forgot about it. Oh, along the edge of his face, you can see some skin tone coming through. Hopefully it's showing up on camera. It's not so much on this side, but across the top we have some, and then across down on this side we have some too. I'm assuming that's intentional, like the white paint from his face is coming off, or the white makeup. But either way, it looks cool, so I don't care if it's an error or not. It looks good. I like it. All right, let's go through the articulation. So the neck joint is really posable. You can get this head moving anywhere you want, and that's because the peg is kind of long. It's a long, narrow peg, which normally it does allow for more articulation, but you end up getting a gap in there. For some people, that might be a deal breaker. I personally... Normally I wouldn't really like that too much, but for Joker, once you get him posed, it's going to let you put him in some really nice poses. Just don't look at it from behind, and it'll be fine. You know, you're not going to have him standing there looking straight up, probably. And even if you were, you could manipulate it so that you can just lean the neck back. So I think that extra bit of articulation in his head is great, because you can really give him one of those crazy sideways smiles, and it just looks really good. So I like that. Then the neck is also on a ball peg. Well, we'll set that aside for now. The neck is also on a ball peg, at least a single ball peg, maybe a double ball peg, but it moves around pretty well in there. Not a whole lot side to side, but definitely front and back, so that's pretty good. The upper body is kind of like Darkseid's upper body, but in a good way. Darkseid had that floating upper body that was kind of hollow. His is the same way, but his fits much better. As you can see, it looks good. Once you get him posed, it's not going to be any problem at all. And it does allow for decent range of motion side to side. This way, rotation, forward, back, really no problems at all, and it's a nice soft material. So I don't have any complaints about this guy. Maybe since it's so soft, it could have come down a little bit farther so that there wasn't any gap at all, but that's really not a big deal at all. So I'm really happy that they went with this route for Joker. I think it works well. It works really well, so I'm very happy with that. I wish now the Darkseid's was a little bit better, since I'm a big fan of Darkseid, but this one works perfectly. For the shoulders, you can see the ball hinge right there. That's going to give us our butterfly joint. That swivel of that ball hinge gives us our butterfly joint now. So that's okay. It works, as you can see. The soft material on or of the chest allows for the arm to come across the front. No problem at all. It does bunch up the jacket a little bit, but you can kind of finagle it and it'll look okay, because we do have the seams or the splits in here, so that's fine. And then we have the hinge, obviously, which allows the arm to move however we want it to. No problems at all there. And then we have the peg that goes from the ball peg into the shoulder. That gives us a swivel. And then we also have a bi-swivel, and a bicep swivel. You're probably thinking that that's a redundant joint, but it's really not. If you want to put the arm all the way up like this, it might not look so great having the joint there, but you can technically put it around this way and then swivel the arm around, and now you don't have any joint showing. So that's really useful. At first I was thinking, it's not really necessary, but it's actually pretty good. Whether that's a happy accident or not, I don't know, but I like it, so that's good. We have our standard elbow joint. Ball hinge, so it'll swivel in the bicep this way, and it'll swivel in the forearm this way, and as you can see, it would ratchet as well, so no problems there. And then we have the same type of joint in the wrist. It's just a little tiny one. I do wish they would put in the wrists the 3-part hinges where you have the 2 sides in the center rather than the 1-part hinge like that, because these just have a higher tendency to break. Not that that will break. They're usually okay, but they can break, so you have to be careful. But still, it swivels at both ends and is ratcheted. And his little cuff link thing, cuff with the links built in, moves around, so that's awesome. You can move it however you want to move the hands, and it'll look good. And it's really well done. And underneath, we have that nice kind of a flat gray color to break up all the purples and everything, so it looks really good. And I have to grab the hand I dropped. And now we can look at the hand real quick. They did do a nice job painting these guys. It's got kind of a really grimy look, and I appreciate that. It looks really good on the figure. So I like the balance of glosses and flats and metallics. Really nice. Alright, so now as we saw the torso articulation already, pretty good range of motion there. Really everything you want to do, no problem. But we also get the lower torso articulation, which is still the standard ball peg going up into the lower torso. And that gives us really good range of motion also. We can bend him that far forward just at the waist. He can't go quite as far back just due to the sculpt and the design. So that's okay, because you can lean him back even more this way using the upper joint. And you can still get him pretty far back, and you wouldn't really be able to balance him anyway if you're not using a stand. So I think that's alright, especially since you still can't see inside his guts. On some figures, you have to really pull it down to see inside his. On some figures, it's there no matter what. And for him, we can just situate that floating crotch piece, and it's going to hide that joint no problem. So I think that's pretty good. Let's get the arms out of the way so I can show you these coattails. These are not like the recent Joker coattails. They are not multiple, they don't have multiple hinges. They just have the hinges where they're connected, and they're actually meant to be individual coattails. So that's just a style choice. I think it looks cool, and I do not mind at all. And they just have basically the little wrist hinges. I heated him up with a hairdryer recently. That's why this popped out so easily, but that's the joint that's in the wrist and also in the coattail. So they will swivel where they peg into the body, they'll swivel where they peg into the coattail, and then of course they're going to have that hinge that you can see. So you can move those around. The hinges themselves do seem a bit soft, in that, I mean, are a little bit loose. They will hold it up, but sometimes they don't want to hold it up as well as I would like, so you're going to have to be careful posing him. But they're definitely going to get the job done when it comes to moving the coattails out of the way. Here comes the cat. Sorry, cat, you can't go up there. For the hips, we have the standard Play Arts Kai hips that ratchet out side to side. Let's get that out of the way. Pretty good range of motion there, all the way forward. You're going to have to be careful though, because he does kind of have big hips inside. They don't look too big. It's not like a proportion issue. It's just the sculpt. You're going to have to use a little bit of care when posing the hips forward, but I think that's alright. You can see what I'm talking about right here. This will get in the way of the joint, but it makes it look good when you're not sticking the leg straight forward, so just like that, it looks really good. So I'm okay with that. And we do also have the swivel right there, the thigh swivel. So I'm really happy with the hips. They definitely don't have that overly feminine, big hip look that we used to see quite often in the Play Arts, but lately they've been doing a really good job with this, and this guy's a perfect example of that. It looks great. And yeah, you can see in the guts if you let the crotch piece come all the way down, but that's really not necessary. You can just pose him and the guts aren't going to show at all. Then for the knees, they did a really good job with the knees. No, cat. No. Stop trying to come over here. The knees are perfectly well hidden by the boots when the legs are straight. And then when they're not straight, it's still a nice design. There is a joint in there, obviously, but it doesn't stick out. It's not too bulky, and we get good range of motion. So it's a very nice knee joint from Square Enix. Happy with that. Then the ankles are the same as the elbows, and they have this floating... Stop it, cat. They have this floating cover on them, which will really help us in posing. You can rotate the ankle around to give you an ankle rocker, or basically whatever you want. And they have really good range of motion, all the way back, all the way forward, and then side to side. No issues at all. And this floating piece right here will hide them the whole way through. I'm really pleased that they didn't put any articulation in the foot, just because it's not necessary. It makes him really stable, and it looks really good. No complaints at all. So all in all, this guy's a great figure. One of the best DC variants, I think. I'm really happy to have it, and that'll do it, guys. So make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see my upcoming figure reviews, custom figures, and other good stuff. And in the meantime, keep collecting.